well-respected businessman. He was the Miami Marlins president for like 16 years in Major League Baseball. He has a business sports show with the former CEO of ESPN, John Skipper. And he was on the Dan Le Batard show, and guess what? They were talking about the WNBA. All right? And, of course, we found out yesterday afternoon the WNBA Players Association voted to authorize a potential strike. In other words, they could now strike at any...
Caitlin Clark commands one of basketball's most varied supporter bases globally. This shouldn't surprise anyone considering basketball's worldwide reach and her status among the sport's elite performers. From Uganda to Australia to Ireland, people wear her jersey. The game transcends borders, and she represents a globally recognized figure within the sport. This reality carries obvious significance and deserves acknowledgement. When she faced Brazil in competition, their entire squad lined up for photographs with her. The Indiana Fever organization recently shared a social media post addressing this topic.
Voted to authorize a potential strike. In other words, they could now strike at any time. We have also found out that the WNBA owners have a new offer on the table. And I got to tell you, if the players don't take this offer, they're idiots. They're idiots. There's no excuses. Because by the time you get to the final year of this offer, the final year of this deal that's on the table, the max players are making...
The timing appears deliberate, coming after renewed discussions suggesting their supporters consist solely of prejudiced Americans. Sue Bird's podcast reignited this controversial narrative. The post asked fans to identify their locations on World Basketball Day. Responses flooded in from Ohio, Florida, and Slovenia. One viewer mentioned watching every Fever contest live while never tuning into Dallas or Lakers broadcasts. The summer timing matters significantly. School holidays allow younger audiences, students, and educators more flexibility.
Offer the final year of this deal that's on the table. The max players are making what you're making in Project B, $2 million. And the minimum salary, we're talking, I mean, this is more than fair. But if it is truly the revenue sharing angle the players want, before we get to the specifics of what has been offered, if it is truly the revenue sharing heart that the players want, David...
Irish fans mentioned staying awake until 1 to 2 a.m. for broadcasts. Some wait even later depending on time zone differences and game delays. Brazil appeared in responses, along with Philippines representation. The Philippines represents a basketball-obsessed nation. Chile featured the players' logo. Rwanda and Puerto Rico chimed in. Saudi Arabia appeared.
Revenue sharing heart that the players want. David Sampson said players are not going to get it, and the owners will end the WNBA.
Really trying to get a landing spot for tons of issues, not just housing or minimums or tagging a percentage of revenue.
If the players are not going to move on a revenue split versus derive revenue share off of a fixed number, what is your opinion on what happens?
Maybe the end of the WNBA. The players will move. There's not going to be
Someone noted Athens, Ohio's existence. Ethiopia joined the list. Multiple countries repeated. Mexico, Chile again, Cardiff, Puerto Rico again, Singapore, South Africa, and Ghana. Basketball truly operates as a global sport. The post seemingly responds to the podcast controversy, comment sections filled with people challenging the narrow characterization of the fan base. One podcast guest admitted not watching games despite claiming support for women's basketball.
Maybe the end of the WNBA. The players will move. There's not going to be a fixed number. It doesn't make sense to me for the WNBA to demand that, for the players to demand that right now. I understand. The biggest thing they did wrong, they said this is their moment. And so they've put a lot of pressure on themselves to make huge changes in the collective bargaining agreement because this is their moment. What you try to do is make incremental benefits through the course of multiple agreements.
That's exactly
When pressed about actual viewing habits, she confirmed avoiding games while maintaining she supported the cause generally. This hypocrisy frustrates genuine supporters. People claiming Swedish fans stay awake until 5 a.m. specifically because they hate women's basketball represents absurd logic. The Fever boasts the world's most diverse supporter community. The Philippines especially embraces basketball culture deeply. One supporter mentioned starting their fandom in Bangkok, Thailand after attending a 2013 event, originally from Manila. The thread's length and diversity speaks volumes, though skeptics remain unmoved.
Benefits through the course of multiple agreements.
That's exactly what your boy said. Me. They're trying to go for too much at one time, especially involving a league that's never turned a profit. Get your salary increase and then revisit in 3 years after the owners have actually put a profit in their pockets for the first time because of your media rights deal. Let the owners actually make some money, because he makes it real clear. Like, if you listen to this,
even if Clark sold out a 30,000-seat Swedish venue in seconds, certain critics would maintain their narrative. A particular segment of legacy media and longtime observers would still claim racist Americans somehow traveled to Sweden. These same critics suggested Ugandan children wearing team gear received it from Americans without understanding what they wore, despite those children discussing watching her collegiate career at Iowa. Outside America, basketball fandom centers purely on basketball. Perhaps American dynamics differ, but internationally, people follow players strictly for athletic reasons. When thousands across Europe and Asia stay awake until 1 to 3 a.m. watching one specific player, it represents something remarkable. Irish audiences haven't demonstrated this behavior since Stephen Curry's 2016 Warriors peak.
Owners actually make some money, because he makes it real clear. Like, if you listen to this whole thing, he makes it very clear the owners want to be paid back for all the money they've lost over the years. And I don't blame them. It's debt.
And so I don't think they should have gone for everything they're going for right now, because they put themselves in a corner where they feel like they have to get it, or it's like a major loss.
What did you say on the front end of this?
He said the end of the WNBA.
What are you saying is going to happen if...
let's be clear, Dan. People are not talking about this enough. We talked about it on the sporting class.
Geographic diversity, racial diversity, gender diversity, and age diversity all characterize this supporter base clearly. Documentation exists extensively through social media engagement, attendance records, merchandise sales, and viewing patterns across continents. Yet certain voices dismiss or reinterpret this information to maintain predetermined conclusions. Media coverage quality affected the league's struggles historically. Poor basketball analysis and inadequate promotion contributed to limited growth. Even knowledgeable basketball minds produce substandard coverage specific to this league. The defensive posture from some quarters now seems counterproductive when unprecedented growth opportunities exist.
Going to happen if...
let's be clear, Dan. People are not talking about this enough. We talked about it on the sporting class. And obviously, you know, John Skipper's involvement in Unrivaled. But you also have talked about what Project B is. You understand there are players who are getting paid multi-millions of dollars to go play in another league in another country. This is the moment. If you had any ability to invest and you wanted to start a league to compete with the WNBA, this is the time. Every player is a free agent. All of them want money and need money.
The fundamental question centers on whether international appeal and diverse demographics receive appropriate recognition. Evidence overwhelming supports global reach. Supporters sacrifice sleep across multiple time zones regularly. They navigate expensive shipping and import complications. They engage passionately across language barriers and cultural differences. Basketball's universal language connects people regardless of nationality or background. Athletic excellence transcends politics and demographics.
What we're making the video about today. So, if you guys don't know, the Indiana Fever went and tweeted out, and by the way, this is like in the aftermath, and this is why I think a big reason why they're posting this stuff. This is in the aftermath of the reopening of the people are only fans of the Indiana Fever because they are racist Americans argument that was reopened by Sue Bird. So let's look here. Fever fans are everywhere. World Basketball Day. Where are you cheering from?
One player's extraordinary talents created unprecedented international interest in a league that desperately needed broader appeal. Rather than celebrating this achievement, certain segments focus on delegitimizing the fanbase through unfounded characterizations. The Fever organization's decision to highlight geographic diversity appears strategic. Demonstrating worldwide support directly counters narrow narratives about supporter motivation. When fans from 6 continents engage enthusiastically, reducing that phenomenon to American prejudice requires willful blindness. Ultimately, whether this changes broader conversations remains uncertain. Entrenched perspectives resist contrary evidence stubbornly.
Everywhere, World Basketball Day. Where are you cheering from? Ohio, Florida, Slovenia. I'm watching Fever game lives. I never watch Dallas or Lakers games all live. And that's the thing where it's like, people don't realize that because of when it is during the summer holidays, for a lot of young people, teachers, and it is an interesting thing because it's during the summer, a lot more people can go and...
Sampson currently co-hosts a business-focused sports program alongside John Skipper, the former CEO of ESPN. During his appearance on the Dan Le Batard Show, his commentary about the negotiations was remarkably blunt. The timing of these discussions came shortly after news broke about the Players Association strike authorization vote. Simultaneously, league ownership presented a fresh proposal to the players. According to Sampson's assessment, if the players reject this latest offer, they would be making a catastrophic mistake. There's no justification for declining it, particularly when examining the final year projections. By the conclusion of the proposed deal, maximum salary players would earn approximately $2 million, comparable to what certain competing leagues are offering.
Can go and watch the games because they're able to stay up a little bit later. Netherlands, South Carolina, Oceania, Argentina, Kansas, Vegas, Vermont, Illinois, Minnesota, Texas, Florida, Massachusetts, Oregon, Texas, Milwaukee, Norway, New England, Zagreb. Make sure you get the international shipping costs on the job. Oh, it's fucking nuts trying to get anything shipped. It is absolutely nuts. Like it's probably about $60, and then you have to.
The minimum salaries proposed also represent substantial increases from current levels, making the overall package quite generous. However, the central issue appears to revolve around revenue-sharing structures. If players genuinely insist on a specific type of revenue-sharing arrangement, Sampson warned that they won't receive it, and ownership might simply shut down the league entirely. When asked about the consequences of players refusing to compromise on revenue distribution versus accepting a fixed financial structure, Sampson suggested the WNBA could cease operations altogether. He explained that players will ultimately yield on this demand, because insisting on it makes little strategic sense currently. The Players Association made a critical error by declaring this their defining moment, placing enormous pressure on themselves to achieve dramatic changes in the collective bargaining agreement. The more effective approach involves securing incremental improvements across multiple negotiating cycles rather than demanding everything simultaneously.
Probably about $60, and then you have to add import tax on top of that to get anything shipped. Hence why most of my Fever jerseys are Chinese knockoffs. Sacramento, Madagascar, South Carolina, England. So we've had New England, we've had normal England. This is cool. An Indiana Fever birthday cake. This is very cool. Tennessee, love their trip. And we can't forget, like, Ireland here have to stay up late, 1 to 2 a.m.
This strategy seems particularly misguided for an organization that has never generated profit throughout its existence. The logical path forward would involve accepting substantial salary increases now, then revisiting compensation structures in 3 years after ownership actually experiences profitability for the first time, thanks to the newly negotiated media rights agreements. Allowing ownership to actually collect returns on their investment makes practical sense, especially considering owners' expectation to recoup years of accumulated losses. This debt represents real financial obligations that ownership feels entitled to recover. By pursuing every possible demand simultaneously, the Players Association has cornered itself into a position where anything less than total victory appears like significant defeat. The pressure they've created for themselves could prove counterproductive.
Like Ireland here have to stay up late, 1 to 2 a.m. Same here. You're waiting even later. part of the crowd was pay through the nose to get some Caitlin Clark fever gear. Yep. But look, that is the thing. That is the thing where it's like you are looking at all these responses from everyone around Brazil, Philippines, obviously quite a lot in America, from the Philippines as well. In the Philippines, again, absolute basketball mad country. Chile with the...
Sampson made an alarming prediction. The WNBA could actually fold. He emphasized that insufficient attention is being paid to this possibility. The discussion extended to alternative leagues, including Project B, where players are receiving multi-million-dollar salaries to compete internationally. Skipper's involvement with Unrivaled adds another dimension to these considerations. This represents the ideal moment for any well-funded investor wanting to establish a competing league. Every WNBA player technically becomes available, all seeking and needing financial compensation.
Country, Chile with the Goat Clark logo, Rwanda, and Puerto Rico, Saudi Arabia. I thought it said there's an Athens in Ohio. Cool. Ethiopia. How many different countries have we had? Mexico, that's a different country again. Chile again. Cardiff. I think we've seen Puerto Rico, haven't we? I'm trying to see how many. Singapore, it's another country. South Africa. Ghana. And that's the thing where it's like, basketball is absolutely a world game. And I do feel like this is almost like a hitting back on the Sue Bird thing, because, and I do feel like a lot of people were there in the comment section of that. A lot of people were there in the comment section below in the comment section, we're going like, yeah, when you're one, by the way, I can't remember, I don't even know what her name was. She went on a Sue Bird's podcast and she was asked, do you watch this? And she was asked, do you watch the game? She goes, no, I don't watch the games, but I just follow. And she says people don't watch the game. People only watch the games because they don't like it. But do you watch the games? No, I don't. I support women's sports. But do you actually watch the games? No, I don't watch the games, but I support women's sports. Fuck off. Fuck off. Genuinely. And then people are like, oh yeah, I stay up till 5 a.m. in Sweden to watch the Indiana Fever play because I hate the WNBA. It's the most bullshit thing ever. They're the most diverse fan base in the world. I don't think they are. Like, if you've